Good morning, America! Let's talk about Trump is cringe and the art history contexts that I used. So the songs I used were Paint the Town Blue, Grow For Me, and then also The Nightman Cometh. So we'll start with Paint the Town Blue. It is the song that is in Arcane, which is a Netflix show of League of Legends. And it is Jinx's song. She's a difficult character for sure. And she is seen as a bringer of doom and destruction, but then also is seen as a leader of the revolution, even though she did not ever see herself as that and fought that label. But I changed the perspective from a young woman to an old man. And the quote, sharpshooter lethal top food chain like an eagle, is referencing our American bird, the eagle. Also, the fact that Trump said that he could shoot someone in Times Square and get away with it. So he feels like he is at the top of the food chain. In the line, dig my nails into your peach, dead, done, deceased, it is making references to butts, but also how he can take whoever he wants, kill him, and dead him. Bed him and dead him, right, boys? Yeah. So, we see the repetition of thorns on a rose as his dementia wearing on his brain, but also the shared rose he has with Epstein. The line, lava on the floor, is a children's game, but in America we are desperate for survival. And he is forcing us to play a game that he has rigged against us. When he sings Grow For Me, it is from Little Shop of Horrors, which is a musical about an alien plant that comes to Earth and needs human blood to grow. It is also a phallic reference to growing a penis, and also we see references to sexual assault. And I did not use this phrasing because I didn't want to trigger people. When he says, please grow for me, after the tongue stuff, I was gonna say, please come for me, but we know he would not be saying please. And right after he assaults someone, he turns into the Tin Man. After he assaults the viewer, he turns into the Tin Man. He needs oil and gas to survive. He needs that old money to survive, since he's a robber baron. And Trump is getting old and needs constant doctor appointments to be revived. He needs help from others. And then, with the sexual assault, the kissing, that is actually, it was a command for PB to come into the frame. Because I use horse noises with my pets, so like, means something, means another. All of these are commands to her that she knows. But in the video, he talks about how a no means yes. And so the kissing is both a command to her to come into the frame, but it is also, once again, referencing his sexual assaults. And PB is referencing the Egyptian god Anubis, because she kind of looks like him. Coming to take him home, which throws him into a tantrum, one of many, where we go, okay, boomer, as he pounds his chest, and then we see the quote, the line, I take what I want, but then the underlying boomer-esqueness is, and leave nothing behind for the next generation. Since these are improv songs that I'm doing, I'm trying to pull everything together in my head for each performance, but I sometimes leave things out. So, you'll see sometimes, like, in the video descriptions, I'll, like, add more. And of course, right after he complains about not having what he wants, but also being able to take whatever he wants, he dies. And then he's revived! But it's more like Weekend at Bernie's style, or kind of like the Scarecrow. Now here, I'll let y'all watch the long video now that you've kind of looked at the graphic for a little bit. The next song that is sung is from the TV show It Is Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And it is Charlie's song in the play he writes. And the fact that Charlie Kirk's wife is now like a big figurehead when she's mostly had her jobs or her positions because of positions she had to perform in bed just kind of speaks to the history of women don't have positions of power unless we fuck someone, and that sucks. But we're in the musical that Charlie puts together. It is about The Nightman Cometh, which is about sexual assault. And I kind of linked the Nightman to Epstein and the Dayman to Trump. Neither are good people. In the musical, the character Charlie is proposing to a girl he stalks, who hates him, who doesn't want anything to do with him, and she goes to the musical just to get him to stop stalking her. And then at the end, when he proposes and she says no, he says, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Which goes to show that, like, even though we were rooting somewhat for Charlie to get the girl, he doesn't deserve the girl because he doesn't treat her like a person. And then the next song I referenced is from Hamilton the musical. It is One Last Time. This was before the whole Trump and George Washington tweets. I didn't mean to link him to George Washington amidst all of everything happening, but whoops. And then he throws another tantrum where we see the Cowardly Lion coming out a little bit. And then he throws a tantrum again where Marianne and Freddie Trump finally come into the picture, but they're off screen because they're dead. They are the two people who are responsible for his emotional dysregulation. His authoritarian parents led to a yes man, a dictator, an abused woman. I also referenced my past videos of Hell and the Trump Dynasty, which is kind of going back to also, this. So, I created this word because anybody can create words. I just created Dadaism, but I created Dadaistic terror. So that's what I believe Trump is using against us. He is purposefully negating moral values while enforcing anti-humanitarian laws. And then we also, with the skull, we are seeing a little bit of Hamlet with his hands here. We see his little patches, but also think of Macbeth and the bloody hands. We are able to see some brain study, some scans. A healthy brain moving to a brain with some mild dementia, leading to severe Alzheimer's. This is the same brain that my grandmother had, and I'm pretty sure it's the same brain that Trump has. My grandmother, people oftentimes had no idea, because, like, in public, she could, like, pretend pretty well, because, like, social standards are habitual, You know, how are you doing? Good, how are you? Good. It doesn't mean actually how are you doing, it's just like what you say, you know. And then we have another scan of a healthy brain compared to severe brain trauma or dementia. Because that's something that we see in like football is, or soccer, so also football, where the more times your head gets hit, shockingly, your head starts to get damaged. What a concept. And the baseline to all of my videos is laughter to break the tension of fear. Because I know what it's like to live in a household run by an authoritarian dictator who throws tantrums and gets whatever he wants. And I know that nothing we do or nothing we say to him is going to make him change. He's going to die the way he is. He's not changing. He's not going to be a better man in the next couple months or years if he survives that long. And there's nothing that we can do except try and survive. And that's really sad. It's sad that we are in a place where we have enforced abuse. We've said abuse is actually the normal, and if you are a gentle and loving parent, well then that's the abstract, that's the absurd. It's crazy to me to think that Gen Z had a better education than Gen Alpha, because Gen Z, you know, we were the generation of like school shootings becoming completely normalized, and now Gen Alpha has school shootings as like it's normalized, but it's also a chronic fear that creates chronic health conditions, and I can attest to that. Chronic stress leads to chronic health conditions. And so MAGA enforcing the Make America Healthy Again while enforcing a lack of gun laws and saying that kids' education doesn't really matter is going to be the destruction of our nation in the end. It's going to lead to adults who never got the chance to have a healthy brain because they were constantly traumatized. It is going to lead to people in my generation becoming older, our brains having issues, and then the next generation coming up behind us who didn't get the same experiences that I did in school, who didn't get the same opportunities that I had. And it makes me angry. It makes me angry that boomers and Gen X were so okay with everybody younger than them having a worse education that they made it they made it into laws. Banning books, banning history, and banning people. And millennials are either very apathetic or are burning out because they've been fighting their whole lives against people who always rigged the system against them, but then blamed them for not succeeding. And Gen Z, we never expected to succeed because we saw millennials and we understood that it didn't matter how much effort you put in, it didn't matter what schools you went to, and it didn't matter what families you came from. In the end, the system was rigged against all of us. But then there was a gender divide. And I think trans people will break that divide. Because the gender gap hurts everyone. It hurts women and men. It hurts non-binary people, trans people, intersex people. It hurts everyone. And when we have these arbitrary rules that enforce some people to work 10 times as hard and other people to work half as much, and then have to have all of that explained to them, like, detailed, this is how you do this job. Like, no wonder Gen Z women don't want to date men. It's exhausting to raise a child when you want a partner. Like, we don't want to be raising a child. We want a partner who is already an adult. Because, and this needs to be heard loud and clear, adults need to date adults. Children date children, teenagers date teenagers, and adults date adults. And Gen Z men do not act like adults. A lot of them act like children. But when we treat them like children, they get angry because they're not children. They are adults. And it should be on them to be raising themselves. But they still put that work on their significant others. Or they don't put it on them and they just spew the toxicity that they think they're the best. And that, well, women just don't like me because women are the problem. And honestly, that's almost worse because then you get the toxic manosphere stuff and the podcasts and men complaining that they're not seen in a world that has only seen men. And what would break that is letting people learn how to sit with the uncomfortable. Sitting with the fact that we live in dodastic terror. That none of the rules that Trump is making up really make sense for anybody but him and his people. Not because his brain is like this, but because his brain is like this. It's not fair to the American people. Biden and Trump are very, very similar. And I know that makes a lot of liberals upset, but y'all, Biden didn't do anything to help Kamala win. She could have won if he didn't try to go for a second presidency when he pretty much failed at his first one, in my personal opinion. Because if he had succeeded, we would not be where we are today. Pop that bubble, sit in the uncomfortable, and know that you are your own parent and you are your own child. You are your own inner child. You are both your mother and your father, and it is totally okay to hold yourself because you deserve to be held.